there's not much to this. Just a lot of wires and junk in there, rope, and obviously some pipe for the actual well pump. I gotta get around all that. That's why I like to have two pipes, so instead of thrusting down through all that junk, I can't really do that. So I'll put one conduit inside, one pipe inside another, so the entire thing doesn't rattle around all over the place. But if I get the right size hole saw, drill a hole right in that. Okay, I want to give you a quick layout of this pump situation here. What I've got is at the bottom of the well, I'm going to have this 1¼ foot valve, and then it's going to go into a connector which has a smooth side that goes on to the 1¼ pipe. Okay, so that's basically the casing of the pump, the 1¼ And then inside the 1¼ we have this 3/4 inch foot valve. Now I'm going to spin that part off, I'm not going to need it. But this fits in there in the 1¼ except for this connector. I'm going to have to sand that down a little bit, and then that'll go in there. This is the very bottom of the piston. And from the connector I go into 3/4 inch PVC pipe, just a small piece that I'm going to transition from this into 1 inch, which will be the piston. Here's the 1 inch here. And I've had to sand that down just a little bit, not very much. Sand the 3/4 down so that it'll fit into this 1 inch pipe. So just a little nipple there, that's what they call them in the trade. And so the piston, check it out, it's a really snug fit. And that should be all you need. This is all going to be below water, so we're not too, it doesn't have to be a massive seal. Alright, so I loosely fit that together. You got your 3/4 inch foot valve, 3/4 inch connector, and 3/4 inch nipple, which I've sanded down. Now I've snugged that right over. This is all going to get compressed when I get the glue on there, so that'll be hopefully smooth. On the other end of the piston, here's what's going to happen. At the other end of the piston we have this bushing that transitions from 1 inch to 1/2 inch. And then this 1/2 inch pipe right here, I can't actually move it, it's still 10 feet long. I'll move the piston here. And then that bush, the 1/2 inch will slide right into the bushing. Okay, half is going to be it's going to be the ram, basically. So it's attached to the piston down the bottom, and it's going to be going inside. Let's slide it over here. It's going to be rattling around inside the 1¼ up and down. So what the water is going to do, it's going to be running between these two pipes. It's not going to go up the 1/2 inch, because what I'm going to do is drill some holes in it so that when I push down, the water goes up the piston. Excuse me a minute. The water goes into the piston, into the 1/2 inch, and then will squirt out the sides of this pipe. And then it's going to travel up the outside of this pipe, but the inside of the 1¼ inch. Okay, but anyway, at the top of the 1¼ I got a nice T, 1¼ T that transitions into a 1 inch, which will be the spout. And I'm not sure what kind of fitting I'm going to put in there. I can just stick a piece of 1 inch pipe in there for now, just for the fun of it. And then I've got a nice bushing that goes to, and I'm not sure what the size is. Let's take a look. It's 1¼ to inch, and then I got another bushing inside that. It goes 1 inch to 1/2 inch. Okay, so now what you're supposed to do is glue the 1/2 inch in there. Well, I'm not going to do that. I want that this ram to slide straight through there. And then I'm going to put a T on the very top. And I'm going to cap that T off. So it'll be like a handle. You'll have to put a couple of nipples out. But it'll be a handle, and that's that. So I'm going to have to sand this down a little bit. Somehow I'm going to have to get in there and take out a little bit of material so that slides smoothly. And here's a 1/2 inch coupling. I'm going to have to use couplings all the way down. But these couplings, check it out, there's plenty of room around the outside for the water to flow, so it's not going to be too restrictive. I was thinking about connecting them in some other way so that it wouldn't be as restrictive, but I don't think it's going to be a problem as far as water flow. So the water's going to come hopefully up in here and then just out. Now if this part was under pressure, like you were trying to fill a drum that's overhead, you know, and you had a little hose fitting here, and the hose went up over this, up above it, this is not really a seal right here. So that's the trouble with this design. I mean, you can put a seal in there somehow, but I'm not going to bother right yet. And when I attach this, I think I'm just going to use a screw to let's show you here. I think I'm just going to use probably a sheet metal screw. I'll drill this part out first and just dimple right into that pipe just to hold it in. These are pretty tight here, these things, anyways, once you push them down. So I want to be able to take that apart later if I have to. And I'm only going down 3 sections of pipe, so that's 30 feet. I could go down 7 sections. I'm sure it would work that deep. But what I'll do is buy some more pipe, and if it goes dry, I'll pull it up, or just you can stack some more down, and just push it down a little further. Okay, now I'm going to show you the finished product as far as the piston goes. I used this nice wood file here, a raspy little thing, and cleaned it up with my utility blade, and then I sanded it down with some 100 grit sandpaper. And the part I'm talking about is just this connector part that I got the little nubs down. You can barely see it now. And so here's the foot valve. I took the I took this end cap off. We're not going to need a strainer down there because it's already going to be strained out by the other one. Okay, and here's the 1.25 pipe. It slides right in there, snug as a bug. Okay, so this is the piston. You get your foot valve, connector, and in between the two is a 3/4 inch nipple, which I've sanded down just to fit into this part, which is not an exact fit. So 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, down to a bushing. They get you down to 1/2 inch, which will be the ram. The part that I push and pull and push and pull. Now, the water is going to go through the piston, but I don't want it to go up this 1/2 inch pipe. I want it to come out a spout that's on the T, right there, and not go up here. I want it to come out here. So the water is going to have to get out of that pipe, so I've drilled 1/4 inch holes, and that should be plenty to get that water out without too much resistance. So it's going to squirt out of there and then travel up the outside of this pipe until it gets into the T, and then it's going to come out here. Oh, and one more thing. This piston I put on here, I put it on a 10-foot length of 1/2 inch. So now I'm going to have to shorten it by at least the length of the piston. so that it's not smashing into the bottom of the 1.25" foot valve. Okay, here's my well cover off to the left there, and there's a 2¼ inch hole saw. I'm going to use the drill into it, so I can slide that pipe down in. And this is a wire guide. It's supposed to go down your well, that's what it's really for, and it keeps the wires away from your tubing. It's a separator, and I'm not using it for that purpose. I'm gonna try and use it on top of the well cap here. I'm gonna put some screws here, some Tech screws around there. And so this is what I've come up with to hold the pipe from sliding down into the well, and I don't want that obviously. So I'm gonna screw that onto there. I'm gonna cut this inner ridge off. These are meant to be cut off depending on the size of pipe you're using. I'll cut that inner ridge off, and then I'm going to slide this. It's kind of a rubber, I don't even know what these are called. What does it say? It's for sewer drain use only, whatever. That doesn't matter. This is what I'm going to use to clamp onto the pipe. Clamp this part onto the pipe, and then clamp that fat side onto this outer ridge here. It actually does fit perfectly. And that little system will keep the whole pump from just falling straight into the well. Of course, this T wouldn't make it through anyway, but I also need, not only do I not want it to fall into the well, as I'm pumping up and down, I don't want the whole pipe to come up and down, so I'll just have, this will be holding it in place. I don't want to have to hold it with one hand and pump with the other, if I can help it. Okay, I got a couple of things finished. I got this T screwed to the pipe. Let me just show you what I've got. I've got actually 3 washers, because that screw is kind of long. That is a pointy sheet metal screw just like this, and it's a little bit long. I don't want to actually go through this pipe. I just want that tip to pierce into it a little bit. So I backed it off by 3 washers, and first I pre-drilled that hole too, because it's only plastic. I don't want to be cracking and splitting stuff. And here is the finished well cap. Got my little plastic wire spacer thing screwed to it, and I did cut that the inner sections out like it's made to be cut out, so it actually works perfectly. And then you take this, I forget what it is, like 2 inch I think, the big end here, fits right around in here, and then you can clamp it, because you've got a nice clamp there, and that'll hold it down when I'm pulling up on the piston. And this one is 4 1/2 inch, but it actually does work on 1 1/4 inch, so I was gonna like slice a section out if I had to, but I don't have to because it works. So I clamp that to the pipe, and that thing's not going anywhere. That'll be wonderful. And I did remove the material from that reducing bushing. Slides perfectly. You need it to slide because this 1/2 inch pipe is just gonna go, and just put that in there. Just like that. You want it to be pretty snug though, because you don't want water squirting out. You want it to come out here instead. Like I said, there's no seal in there. You can put one in. I've seen people make them out of that foam pipe insulation, So it can be done pretty cheaply, and you don't have to glue these together. I'm not going to glue them in, so I can take it apart if I want to. They fit really snug. I mean, they're not going to fall out ever. Believe me, you have to get a wrench. So that's all set. And here's the glue I'm using. This is all-purpose. Now I'm not using that purple cleaner stuff because this actually says not to for this particular brand, so you won't see any purple on it. So I should be ready to throw this in. Good luck to me. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention there was a good ridge inside that I had to remove, and I used the flat blade on my jackknife. Worked beautifully, and it didn't leave any burrs. There was no rough edge. If you use sandpaper, it would be rough in there, so that worked really good. You don't need anything fancy. Straight bladed jackknife, perfect. Just a heads up on that. Okay, well I got the finished product here, and got a bucket. I already tried it actually, so I know that it works. That's holding it up. So let's just start pumping here. There it comes. I'm pumping it one-handed, so you know it's not too hard. I can actually get more pumping action on the upstroke. Let me show you. That's the upstroke. Anyways, so see this? I don't know if you can make it out, but there's a little bit of water comes out right there where the half-inch is poking out. Because there's no seal in there. I can put one in if I really need one. So if I wanted to pump faster, I could, I guess. I got some good brown water. I don't know if that'll clear up. I think I jogged a lot of rust when I pushed this down the well. Anyway, so if you need water, that's one way to do it. This is not permanent, this part. It's in there snug, but that was just temporary. See what, I still don't know what I'm going to use there. That works fine, actually. Okay, so that's it. Oh, and one lesson I learned: you can put two sticks of 1 1/4" together and move them around pretty easily. But you cannot put two 1/2" pieces of pipe together and move them around. It's one big floppy thing. It doesn't work well. I did it, but it was scary. So don't attempt that. What you gotta do is put two 1 1/4" down there, and then secure it with a rope, which they actually have a rope at the top of the well anyway. So tie onto that, and then pop the next stick in. And once you get all however many 1 1/4" you're going to need, then put your 1 1/2" down. Obviously with the piston first. Okay, and then then glue them as you go down. Don't try and do two at once. That was a pain in the buttocks. Okay, so good luck with that if you're trying it. It works really good. And one other thing, since we do have a frost line, I drilled a 3/16 inch hole in the outside piece of pipe, the 1.25 inch, down about 8 feet below the frost line. It'll be so it's below the frost line, so the water will trickle out and it won't freeze up here, hopefully. That's the point of that. So you don't get all your pressure, but you don't have it freeze either, so that's cool. Okay, beauty.